Welcome into the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. We're glad to have y'all in here on a Wednesday. Almost done with 2020, the last show of 2020. We are excited to have you here. Yours truly, Logan Ward, here with Mo Aleem. Mo, how are you doing?
Doing just fine down here in Austin, Texas. Won a bowl game, feeling pretty good. Hook 'em horns.
Yeah, you won a bowl game, and you act like y'all won the Super Bowl. This is the same thing that Texas has done in the last couple of years, too, where they say they are back, and then in the subsequent season, they are, in fact, not back. I can't wait for next year's disappointment of all the Texas Longhorns fans that are out there, thinking that they are going to be a championship caliber team next year.
Hey, man, we're just adding to the variety of hardware we got on the shelves. We got a Valero Alamo Bowl trophy, so add that to the Texas Hall of Fame right there.
Got 2 back-to-back Alamo Bowls. You're ready. You're ready to crown a national championship. I guess it's kind of the same thing as the not in tournament championship that the basketball team won last year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's move on from there.
All right, so we're going to get started here today. I wanted to bring up the first topic that I wanted to bring up is a really interesting one, because look, I really feel bad for this guy, but Dwayne Haskins is, I don't know, it's pretty crazy to me what's happening with Dwayne Haskins. So, maturity, in my opinion, is one of the single most underrated trait that a person can have, especially an athlete. How many people that we see, it infuriates me when you see somebody in the high school level that's like 6'5", 200, and they can just have like a 4.5 40, and they're like super good, but they're extremely uncoachable. They don't want to listen to the coaches. They think that, their maturity level's not there. It just drives me nuts because you have that much talent and it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out at the next level. And we get to the point where we kind of dwindle out the people who are really immature. Your high schoolers, the people who are really immature, they don't go to the next level. Or they do, they go to a Division III team. They have some success maybe there, and then that's it. And then you go to the professional leagues, and you've really weeded out most of the people who are really immature or that needs to, grow. And then you have people like Dwayne Haskins, who still needs to grow, who still needs to mature, who still seems like he is not quite there yet. And it is absolutely infuriating. How many athletes are out there right now sitting in their houses knowing that they could have gone somewhere, they could have done something, that maybe they have more talent than certain people in the league, but they just couldn't get the off-the-field issues handled? It's absolutely infuriating. But Dwayne Haskins is a kid who Urban Meyer, his head coach, his college head coach, said, there's some maturity issues there. Washington still drafts him. Why? Because the owner's son went to high school with him? That's why you're going to draft your franchise quarterback? Even though the head coach of his college team said, his maturity is a bit of a problem. You're going to draft that guy. Okay, good luck. Remember, Dwayne Haskins got a start this year. He won a football game this year. On the last drive, they had no idea where Dwayne Haskins was. He was taking selfies with the fans as the offense was running back onto the field to end the game, to take a knee. He was taking pictures with the fans. This is your franchise quarterback. This is the guy that you draft. And I understand that Ron Rivera didn't draft him. Ron Rivera didn't want him. And this is why he was cut. But we see this story too many times. Jamarcus Russell is a really famous one. Dude didn't want to study. He didn't want to be in the film room. He didn't want to watch film. He didn't want to study defenses or dive into the playbook. He didn't want to do that. Johnny Manziel, first round pick. You know the headline today? Johnny Manziel looking to be on a 7-on-7 league where the fans make decisions. That's the headline for Johnny Manziel today. Johnny has issues. Jamarcus Russell, maturity issues. And it looks like Dwayne Haskins might be on the road to the 7-on-7 fan league that Johnny Manziel just joined. Maturity is the single most underappreciated, underrated trait that a college athlete can have, or any athlete. At a high school level, you see some people that are like, yeah, this dude gets it. This guy understands. He's a hard worker. He doesn't let little things get to him or her. At the college level, they understand it. They get it. Trevor Lawrence, we're not going to have maturity issues with him. Justin Fields, we're not going to have maturity issues with him. Dwayne Haskins, the head coach of Ohio State, was saying, yeah, there's a little bit of a maturity issue there. If I hear that, you're off my draft board. I'm not taking you. I don't care about your talent. Because your talent's not going to outweigh the immaturity. That you go into a strip club in the middle of a pandemic. That you're taking selfies while your offense is trying to go onto the field for a victory. You didn't even get to kneel down. Dwayne Haskins is going to get another opportunity because his talent's there. But he's got to shape up. He's got to be better. Who will he be with? Have no idea. I do think he gets another shot. But maturity is the single most underappreciated thing this entire league is in this entire NFL, and entire sports. And maybe it shouldn't be. All right, let me switch to this. So, another thing that happened this week, and that I've been seeing a lot, is that the Kansas City Chiefs, they're in trouble. Kansas City Chiefs, uh-oh. You see, they could barely beat the Falcons. They've barely won this season a lot of times. There have been a lot of times that they haven't looked very good. Are they vulnerable? That's what I'm hearing. Now, a lot of this, to me, I think is just people being contrary. I think they just want to be contradicting to the narrative that this is the best team by far. From week 1 to week 17, this is the best team. I think people just want to try to poke holes into them. And I understand that they haven't looked great, but I think that we're just vastly overestimating how bad that they've looked. This team can flip a switch and they're going to score 30. It doesn't matter. I don't think that they're extremely vulnerable. What I think is they're bored. We see this in every other sport. The NBA, LeBron takes nights off. LeBron coasts to the playoffs because he knows that the only thing that matters is the postseason. He understands that he's just got to get right for the postseason. We've seen this happen in the NFL. Every single September and October that the New England Patriots had with Tom Brady, they struggled. Experimenting with things, trying to figure out who they are offensively, defensively, trying to scope out their opponents. Every single year, this happened. We didn't bat an eye at it. We said maybe they were vulnerable in the week 1, but by the time it got down to week 17, yeah, it was all right. The difference is the Chiefs are winning their games that they don't look good in. The Chiefs are winning their games that maybe they shouldn't have. The Chiefs are winning the games where they're scouting. I don't think that the Chiefs have shown nearly as much as they're going to in the playoffs. I feel like this offense, we talk about the offense being so complex and so different. I don't think we've seen much of it. I think that they've kept it in the pocket. And here's another thing. We all talk about how close these games have been. There really haven't been a lot of games that the Chiefs didn't have it with. Falcons game is really the one that you're like, okay, they should have lost that game. But Miami, we talk about the Miami game. They were blowing them out. They let them backdoor cover, but there was really no need for. There wasn't any chance that Dolphins were going to win that game. They only have a couple of times where the opposing team has the ball in the fourth quarter with an opportunity to go ahead. There's only like a handful of times. I think it's been once this season that's been the case. Most of it's been in the third quarter, and then the Chiefs have kind of put the gas on and ended it. I don't think that they're very vulnerable. I think that we're just trying to find something because we don't want it to be a situation where we know exactly who's going to win the Super Bowl. But I think that they're going to show up and show out come postseason. They have the number 1 seed. They're going to have the bye, and every team in the AFC is going to have to go to Kansas City at Arrowhead. And even with a limited crowd, that place is incredible. Mo, your thoughts on the Chiefs?
Here are my thoughts on the Chiefs and who I think will be taking home the Lombardi Trophy this season. But I do think that the Chiefs need to be cognizant. I don't think that they can coast the way through the playoffs this season. I think, there are some teams that are heating up, and those are the teams that you have to be worried about as the number 1 seed going into the postseason. You get a bye week, so you get a week off. So you're not in game action during that first week of January. And you're sitting on the sidelines, you're sitting at home watching these other teams. I think they need to keep their eye out on, obviously their second round opponent, but there is someone else creeping up the board in the AFC that I think they should be, very threatened by at this point, and they're heating up at the right time. And it's a team out of New York that, we haven't seen be good since I was born. These guys have not won the AFC East since 1995, the year that I was conceived. It's been a long time since these guys were good, and that's the Buffalo Bills. They are coming into the postseason very hot. I think by far the hottest team, and cruise controlling in games where they're demolishing their opponents by 25 plus points every game. We saw what they did to a very well coached New England Patriots team on Monday night. And they are also well coached themselves. Sean McDermott, he has a very even keel personality about him. I think that, he has got his players' head on a swivel. He's got them, thinking straight and straightforward, and keeping their, the humility in that locker room, because I think people are discounting the Buffalo Bills because the Chiefs are so good and they're 14-1 and they have the bye locked up. And they're not as flashy, but they are getting to that point now at the right time, and that's what matters when it comes to the playoffs.
Do you really believe that? Do you trust Josh Allen to go down in Kansas City late in the game and beat the Kansas City Chiefs? I have no faith in Josh Allen to do that. I know that he's been good, but he's wildly inconsistent, and I don't think that he's going to be able to go down in Kansas City, even though it's a limited crowd. That crowd will be raucous. It's cold. I know he's used to playing in cold weather, but it might be snowing, and I don't trust him to go down there and make a play.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the Kansas City Chiefs are well coached enough that on a last possession of a game, that they would have a game plan to stop Josh Allen with the numerous hours of film that they'll be watching on him, because I do think that Andy Reid is cognizant of who his biggest threat in the AFC is, at least at this point. And so I think they'll have a game plan if it comes down to a fourth quarter clock situation where Josh Allen has the ball in his hands to end the game. I think the Chiefs will have a plan, and I do think that they would come out on top in that game, is what I think, is that the Chiefs have had the experience in the postseason. They've been there a couple of times in the last few years already with Pat, and so they know what they're up against. They've been down in the playoffs multiple times and come back to win games. So I think they know what they're doing. I don't think, obviously Josh Allen is very good. I think he will get to the AFC Championship this year, but I think that lack of experience in the playoffs, I think, this being his first time really leading a team on a deep postseason run, which I think they'll do this season, is just going to come up short because of the lack of experience.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on the Bills. I think that they will be in the AFC Championship game, but I don't know how big of a threat they're going to be to the Kansas City Chiefs, because you have to outscore Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is good enough to make a couple of plays, but their offense is humming. And I understand that it will be strength on strength, the Bills' defense versus the Kansas City offense. And I know that the Bills' offense can score, but I just think that you're going to have to match that. You're going to have to match Kansas City's scoring. And I don't think that we've seen Kansas City at their peak. I don't think that we've seen Kansas City fire on all cylinders yet. And I'm not saying that it's just going to immediately happen in the postseason, in the playoffs, that they're just going to come out and they're just going to dominate. But I do think that they got a pretty good chance of doing that. They got a pretty good chance at just going out there and dominating because we haven't seen it. Last year in the Super Bowl, it was this 49ers defense, right, with a pass rush, and they had these linebackers, and they had a great secondary, right? It was defense versus offense, and everyone was like, yeah, they're going to be able to get Patrick Mahomes, and they were for 3 quarters, but unfortunately, the game's a four-quarter game, and 4 quarters trying to stop that Kansas City offense, I think is going to be tough. And here's another thing. I think that Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, I think that all of them understand that what they have right now is a limited time. There's never been a team that has gone on to win a substantial amount, like 5 years with the same core group. The Patriots did it, but they had Brady and then a bunch of other guys around him that had, just completely different groups. I think that the Chiefs understand that they have a chance at back-to-back. They aren't going to have a ton of chance to get 5 rings in this little run. They understand that that's not going to happen. So I think they're going to come out with a lot of purpose in this postseason.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I have the Kansas City Chiefs picked to win the Super Bowl again. I have them, picked to repeat because of all the things that you said. I think there's a short window here. You got to make the most of it. Both Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid got, huge contract extensions in the offseason. So, they want to pay back those that belief that the organization has put into those 2 guys. And I think they'll do that. And the experience that they've had over the last couple of years, losing in the AFC Championship to the Patriots, and then, persevering last year and going all the way, coming back in pretty much all of their playoff games that they had last year. They had to come back in against Houston, against Tennessee in the AFC Championship, and against the 49ers in the Super Bowl. So I think, they're incredibly disciplined. They've been there before. And I think they'll, claw their way back into, another ring, another championship.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to take a break real quick. When we come back, we're going to talk about college football playoff games starting up this weekend. So we'll get into that and what that means. Who's going to win those games? We don't know, but we're going to find out pretty soon. So we'll talk about that coming up here on the Logan Ward Show. Sports are rolling in every day now. You got the college football playoffs coming up. You got the NFL playoffs coming up. And if you want to support the 12-ounce sports team, there's an easy way for you to get in on the action. 12-ounce sports is going to hook you up with a crazy deal when you sign up and make your first deposit on mybookie.ag. That's mybookie.ag. When you make that first deposit on mybookie.ag, they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000. So if you put $1,000 in, MyBookie is going to match that $1,000 when you punch in the promo code 12-ounce sports. Again, that is 12OZ Sports, all caps, no spaces, when signing up on mybookie.ag to get your deposit matched up to $1,000. And remember, always gamble responsibly. We'll be right back. You're watching The Logan Ward Show.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
Welcome back to the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at Logan Ward Pod. You can also follow Mo at Barack Mobamba1. So follow us there. You can follow 12 Ounce Sports as well at 12 Ounce Sports on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you do the most social media. Go ahead and follow them there because you'll see all the shows, not just us, but all the shows. We have a ton of great shows on 12 Ounce Sports, so be sure to give them a follow as well. Well, the college football playoff is coming up this weekend. We have Ohio State versus Clemson on Saturday night. We have then we have the Alabama and Notre Dame game, which, you know, is that going to be a game? I guess we will find out. We have those games coming up this weekend. Mo and I have talked pretty much. We've talked a lot about college football and the problems that we have with college football and the problems that we think need to be fixed with college football. But today we're going to preview college football. We're going to preview these two games, and I don't know what to expect. I have no idea what to expect in these games. You know, I want to hope that these are going to be good games. Deep down, I don't think they will be. But I want to hold out hope that this college football game is going to be good. Ohio State Clemson, I hope it's not a 21-point game. I hope Alabama doesn't cover their 22-point their 22-point favorites or something right now. I hope that they don't cover, but I'm not certain that they won't. Mo, what do you think is going to happen this weekend? I have no idea. I really don't. I hope that it's not a blowout. I hope that these games are close, but I don't know.
Yeah. What I can say for certain is that the Rose Bowl will not be as close of a game as the Clemson and Notre Dame, or the Clemson and Ohio State game. Sorry, excuse me. I think there is a little bit of history there now with the Clemson and Ohio State rivalry, if you will, dating back to last year when we saw, a crazy college football semifinal, where it came right down to the wire. Justin Fields with the ball, in the last play, in the last, drive of the game. These are going to be the two top picks in the draft, most likely at this point. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields is what, where I'm seeing it going right now. The draft boards obviously are changing with teams that are, winning in the NFL. But at this point, I think these are still, the top two prospects in the draft, two of the best talents in the draft. And so I think there will be, something to play for here, obviously, besides a trip to, versus Alabama in the national championship.
I think that might be the biggest thing. I think people now, when we, in the next couple of days leading up to it, I mean, all the talk's going to be about those two, but like, you're right. This is a big showcase for the NFL draft. This isn't just a college football game. This is presumably the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks going at it on national television in a primetime game. It's not just a college football game.
Yeah, these players are playing for their futures, and their future paychecks especially is what they're going to be playing for. Obviously, it's nice to take home a trophy. It's nice to win with your team. These guys have, they've been working, really hard at this for the past 2 to 3 years, and so they want to win the game, obviously. And Ohio State going into this game, there's a lot of controversy surrounding whether they should have even made the playoff. The 6 games that they played, is that enough of a resume to be in a semifinal? So I think they are, feeling the pressure. They want to, prove the doubters wrong, prove everyone wrong that has been kind of hating on Ohio State and not giving them, their credit as one of the more talented football teams in college football. And so I think they have a lot to prove. I think Clemson has less to prove, but at the same time, Trevor Lawrence still wants to raise his draft stock as much as possible, or maybe he wants to drop his draft stock. He's he knows that he's going to play for the Jaguars if he goes to the NFL. So maybe he goes out there and just bombs it so that, he'll drop a pick or two, but that's not happening. So yeah, it's very interesting. That game has caught my attention a lot more than the other one. I think, the spread that they have for the Alabama Notre Dame game is pretty on point right now.
I'm going to check the spread. I'm going to check the spread on MyBookie to see what these are for those 2 games. Let me double check there on mybookie.ag. Let me see what these spreads are, because, we had talked about it. Alabama Notre Dame started at like a 20 point spread at the start of, when it came out. So, okay. So right now, Ohio State Clemson is a 7.5 point favorite against Ohio State. The over-under is 66.5. What do you think? Is 7.5? Where is that kind of on par for where you're thinking?
I think it'll be a little bit closer than that. I would take, Ohio State covering that spread in this game.
Ooh.
Like I said, a lot of the factors that I mentioned, they want to play. They want to win this game. There's some bad blood there. I think they went out on, not their terms last year. And so I think that Ohio State is going to play a lot harder with a lot more intensity. I think they're going to want to win this game. I mean, obviously both teams want to win, but I think Ohio State has more to play for and more to prove this year with, all the doubters, all the hate that's come their way. I think they're going to bring it.
Okay. So Bama Notre Dame, right now, Bama on mybookie.ag. Remember, you can go to mybookie.ag. When you sign up, put in the promo code 12ounce sports, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $1,000. But right now on MyBookie, they have Bama 20.5 point favorites against the Fighting Irish. 20.5 point favorites, and the over-under in that game is also 66.5. So they're saying that Alabama will win by 20, at least by 20, and they're going to score at least 46 points.
I think that's right at point. Yeah, I think that's perfect, actually. I would take Alabama with 3 touchdowns over Notre Dame. I think it'll be close for the first 2.5 quarters. I think Notre Dame will play their hearts out, and then it'll just be way too much like it always is with Alabama. They're just going to put their foot on the gas. They're going to make adjustments at halftime, whatever, Notre Dame's game plan is. They're going to figure it out. I don't think there's a way to get around Nick Saban and just his genius on a football field. I think it'll be a contest for a half, maybe a little bit into the third quarter. And then you're going to see, the top 3 Heisman candidates come and ball out in the second half.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith will have 2 touchdowns. Najee Harris will have 2 touchdowns. Mac Jones will have at least 3 touchdowns.
So you think Ohio State's going to cover the 7.5 in the Rose Bowl?
Right now, yeah, I think they have a lot to play for. I think they've had time to prepare. They've only played 6 games, man. So all they have been thinking about is getting to this playoff because, it's Ohio State. They kind of assumed that they would just be in it because they're Ohio State. So this is all they've been preparing for all year. It's 6 games and then two more if they can get to, that last one.
I might want to make a bet with you. 7.5. I honestly think that Clemson is going to cover that. I think Clemson wins by 10, if not more. We got to think of something that we can do for that game. We got to think of a bet that we can make. 7.5 is the line on my bookie. Are you good with the 7.5 number? We got to think of a bet that we can do.
Yeah, Pine Springs on you.
Hey, there we go. Hey, yeah, round of golf. A round of golf there. 7.5. We'll see who wins. Clemson. If Clemson covers the 7.5, it's on you.
That half is going to be very important because if Ohio State, loses by a touchdown, I'm going to be kicking it on the golf cart.
All right, so we got a round of golf on Clemson at 7.5. Yeah, I like that. All right. Yeah, so I think that we've kind of talked about it. We'll see what happens. I think that the Notre Dame Alabama game is just kind of a mess. Like, it's not going to be a great game. They did move it to Texas, the Rose Bowl to Texas, so I guess that's interesting. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. As I sit here with my "Don't Mess with Texas" shirt on right now, and hey, me and you are both from the Tyler area. Both grew up in Tyler, and they're talking about sending some Tyler Roses to the Rose Bowl. I honestly think that's going to be a big feature in the Rose Bowl. Tyler, Texas is going to be a big feature.
It's perfect. I don't know why they build a stadium in Tyler. It just makes sense. Go ahead and
I don't know why they didn't have this at Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. Why didn't we just have the college football playoff in Tyler? I mean, it's right there next to the Rose Gardens.
Play for them.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm sure that Kirk Herbstreit would have loved that. I mean, he's going to be doing it from home. I mean, I could have filled in. So that's going to be an interesting matchup coming up this weekend. So 7.5 round of golf on the winner if Clemson covers or not. So anybody? Okay, so your Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith. You got Kyle Trask from Florida, Mac Jones from Alabama as well. Who do you actually think gets the Heisman Trophy this year?
Who do I actually think gets it? I think it's going to be, if I had to put my money on it, I would put Trevor Lawrence there. If I think about who I think should fairly get it, it would be Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
I know he just won AP Player of the Year, but
I honestly think he's going to win.
That Heisman candidates and trophy winners are always favored to be quarterbacks or really star running backs. And they always, overlook the wide receivers. So, I don't want that to happen. I think Devontae Smith in this crazy year has outshone all other college football players. Doing what he did, during this pandemic has been phenomenal to watch at Alabama. I think he deserves it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Heisman wanted to get their name, associated with Trevor Lawrence and have him in the quote unquote Heisman house before he leaves.
Yeah, no, it'll be Devontae Smith. They've already announced the finalist. And it's Trask. It'll be Trask, Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, and I do think that Devontae Smith is going to win it this year. The reason that I do that is because he is the first wide receiver to win the AP award, Player of the Year, and I think that most of the time that translates to the Heisman Trophy. And I don't think that Mac Jones or Kyle Trask has done enough to say, yeah, let's take the quarterback over the receiver that we just gave AP Player of the Year to. So I do think that Devontae Smith is going to win it. He's going to be the first primarily wide receiver because people forget, Desmond Howard and those people, they were punt returners as well. They were kick returners. And I know that Devontae Smith has done some of that stuff, but I think that the reason that he is going to win the Heisman is because of his play at wide receiver, which has typically not happened in the Heisman Trophy, ceremony, you don't see a lot of wide receivers getting the love I think that they probably deserve, but they never really get it. So we'll see when that comes out. We'll see what happens with that. We're going to take another break. That was a good little segment there. Good little college football segment going. It wasn't so negative this time. You know, we've been kind of bashing on college football the last couple of weeks. It wasn't super negative, right? We did all right.
New year, new us, man. 2021, bringing new things.
Yeah, we're all going to be positive all the time. Just bringing all the positive vibes all the time, even though college football really doesn't deserve it. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA. The NBA season has started. It's been on for a couple weeks now, and we got a lot of interesting storylines coming out of the NBA so far this year. So we'll talk about that coming up next here on The Logan Ward Show. All right, well, we all shop on Amazon, right? We all shop on Amazon. Jeff Bezos, I think, just made like a bunch more money in 2020, which is insane, but we all make him a bunch of money. Even though the holiday season is over, you haven't stopped shopping, and I get that. I understand that. Well, next time you're planning on buying something on Amazon, go to 12ouncesportsnetwork.com/Amazon and help support our show and the other 12-ounce sports shows and the network itself. It's that simple. All you have to do is go to 12ouncesportsnetwork.com/Amazon. It'll redirect you straight to Amazon, and you just have to shop from there. That's all it is. Just shop away. That's all you have to do. So go to 12ouncesportsnetwork.com/Amazon and just start shopping. We'll be right back here on The Logan Ward Show. Welcome back to the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. Be sure to go to mybookie.ag. Sign up they'll match your first deposit up to $1,000 when you use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports. So be sure to do that. Basically getting free money to bet with. So why not do that, right? All right. Well, look, the NBA season has started, and it's kind of gone under the radar a little bit, I think. It really has, I think, gone under the radar just a bit because no one's been, the NFL season is really in full swing right now. A lot of people haven't tuned in, I think, to the NBA. It isn't at the forefront of everybody's mind. There's been a couple of articles that the NBA is actually up right now in the ratings. So that's a good thing for the NBA, and that's a good thing for any basketball fan. But the NBA right now is looking kind of crazy. Right now, I'm sure everyone thought this. After about 3 or 4 games, depending on the teams, you have the Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks leading the Eastern Conference, and you have the Washington Wizards with newly acquired Russell Westbrook at 0-4. And so, it's been a weird year. It's already been a weird year to start this season out. Mo, early season thoughts in the NBA. What you got?
Yeah, like you said, I think it's like way too early to, put too much stake into what's going on with, the conferences and the standings right now. Obviously, you've got the Magic at 4-0. Came out really hot and, are leading the Eastern Conference. The Kings in the 3 spot in the Western Conference. Some random things going on. The Clippers at 3-1 are leading the Western Conference, even with a 50-point blowout to the Mavericks the other night. So yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff has already happened. But if you're like me, you don't even tune into basketball season until the NFL season is over. And especially this year, because basketball season started right in the thick of the playoff hunt for the NFL, it's kind of hard to keep up with the NBA and, really put too much time into it because it's early. Teams are very rusty. A lot of the games that I've seen and caught little highlights of are very, sloppy, a lot of turnovers, a lot of just, people getting to know their new teammates. I've just seen a bunch of people on different teams that, I didn't know Avery Bradley was on the Miami Heat or, a lot of these different trades that people are still getting accustomed to. So I wouldn't put too much into what's going on so far.
Right. The early season is just like you trying to figure out who's on what team now. Like you watch early season basketball and you're like, oh, okay, so that guy's on this team now. So I need to know this by March so that I know if that's a good team or not.
Yeah, exactly. I will say that I am worried for a few of these teams. You mentioned already the Wizards.
Oh, dude.
Russell Westbrook is already, putting up triple doubles like a madman, which he always does. And obviously triple doubles don't equate to wins, as we can see from the Eastern Conference standings. And I don't think they're, in a good spot where they are. Russell, I think, is going to have a great statistical year in terms of triple doubles, which I maybe in his book that counts as a win because that's, what he usually is striving for, it seems, in these games. But those guys and the Rockets, both of those teams are at the very bottoms of their conferences, both winless after that trade. Both organizations are struggling. I don't know if there was a clear winner in that trade. It's kind of up in the air right now, and I'm worried about some of these teams at the bottom.
Look, the Houston Rockets have been an absolute dumpster fire so far this year, and not really. On the court they've been all right, but it's been off the court stuff. Right now they're sitting at 0-2. Again, it's 0-2. You can quickly get that turned around, but they've looked, all this off the court stuff. It's all been that, and this looming James Harden trade is just going to be sitting there all year long. It's going to be sitting there just over their head like a rain cloud until he either says, you know what, I'm happy here, we're going to make this work, or he's shipped off. This will be there all year long. And so this is only the beginning of their struggles, in my opinion. The COVID stuff has gotten them to where they didn't have enough people to field the team to go play. So, the Rockets have been a mess. I'm not, again, like we said, we don't take too much into this. Like, everything's going to shape out. I think that this season will be interesting because it's a shorter season. We have a little bit less games, so everything's going to be a little quicker, right? So your playoff teams are going to be decided quicker, and each game kind of matters a little bit more because you're further along in a normal season. You are starting the season, right? So, I do think that it's important that teams that are new together, like the Wizards and some of these other players that have been traded, the Nets have looked, fantastic, but still they're sitting at 2-2, but they've looked good in the games that they've won. I think that it's important that these teams kind of get familiar with yourself. That's why I'm a little bit worried about the Lakers, because I don't know how many games LeBron James is going to play this year or how many minutes he's going to play this year. And I think that it's important that he plays with these new teammates, with Marc Gasol, with Martez Harrell. I think that there's a lot of new pieces there for LeBron, and we know that once he gets going and once he plays with them and gets acclimated with them, they're going to work. But he's got to play to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it really speaks to the volume of just how crazy 2020's been. The Lakers were hoisting a championship trophy 2 months ago, basically. So I don't think we can put too much stake into these first few games in 2020. I think we should revisit this, February 8th after the Super Bowl is over. Let's focus on football right now. There are good competitive sports going on. Everyone is still either load managing or recovering from the offseason or learning new teammates' names because, frankly, we don't know who is playing for these teams. And, they're just trying to get acclimated with one another. So let's pump the brakes on any panic unless, you're the Wizards or the Pistons or the Raptors sitting at 0-4 right now and 0-3. I think there's a lot of time to, get up to speed with the new systems and the new teams that you're with. And I think it'll shake out, in a regular fashion. I think we're going to have the old jokers from last year. A lot of those guys are going to be in the playoffs. And maybe, hopefully, some new guys like the Suns and some of these other up-and-coming exciting teams. The Brooklyn Nets, obviously, everyone's excited to see what they can do. We want to see those guys in the playoffs. So I'm excited to see, obviously, later on what happens. But I'm not putting too much stake into it right now. Focusing on football. Go Cowboys.
Trying to win the NFC East this weekend. So we got a couple minutes left here on the show. And we wanted to talk about, because this is the last show of 2020, we're moving into 2021. And this year has been a roller coaster ride. This year has been, especially me personally, it's been a roller coaster ride. I've had really, really high highs, and then everybody's had really, really low lows. Everyone's trying to adapt, and everyone's trying to, get to a point where they can do their things. But, this year's been great for me. I got married. My wife's pregnant. This has been it's a great year for me personally. Started a new job, moved into a house. Have a lot of, personal victories in this, and overlying 2020 of this year's been a mess for a lot of people. It's been a really, really strange year. And this translates to the world of sports as well. I remember exactly when the NBA season decided to cancel. I was doing a show. I was doing the show on 12 Ounce Sports. I was doing the Logan Ward show in the mornings, and I woke up and saw that the Mavericks game, that was going to be canceled, or I saw the clip where they were going to cancel the season from that. And that was in March, right? And everyone was kind of like, okay, well, now this is kind of getting a little serious, right? If the NBA is calling off seasons, this thing must be pretty serious. We had Kobe Bryant die. I remember where I was at that, right? I was sitting in my office watching the AFC Championship game, and it comes across the ticker that Kobe passed away. I was looking on Twitter, and it was the entire sports world stopped. Even the players on the bench found out that Kobe had passed away and was reacting. This has been a wild year. And this is another thing is this year's going to have a lot of asterisks. Everyone's going to put a lot of asterisks on this year of champions, of Heisman Trophy winners, of individual accolades. Everyone's going to put asterisks on this because, that was 2020. LeBron James won another ring. Okay, well, it was 2020. In my opinion, this has been the most difficult year to win a championship. This has been the most difficult year to try to fight through that adversity and win an award like the Heisman Trophy or whatever other awards that you're thinking. This has been a tough year. Mo, do you think that this year, what do you think the sports world, history is going to look back at this year in the sports world and think, what?
Yeah, I think this was a huge year of loss in the sports world. You already mentioned it. Obviously, Kobe passing away was a momentous time. I think that kind of set the tone for 2020, really. Obviously, we had coronavirus at the beginning, but, once everyone heard the news of Kobe, I feel like people were just resigned to the fact that this year was just going to take a downhill turn. And, it hasn't disappointed in that regard. It's been, devastating in terms of, sports and, health and human lives and all those things. It's been a huge year of loss. We lost March Madness in the very beginning of the year when this went down. We lost the NBA season and, the continuity of the NBA season, if you will. A lot of teams weren't able to compete for the remainder of the year. We lost, Diego Maradona. He's, a huge soccer idol, one of the greatest players that ever walked the earth.
Yep.
And countless other sports figures. I was looking at an article today, and in every sport, it seemed as though that there was a major figure that had, gone in 2020. And so I think we'll have to look back as, on this year as a year of reflection, as a year of, not taking things for granted, appreciating what we have. And, we should have enjoyed the sports moments that we got in 2020. The Chiefs won a Super Bowl. That was amazing, how they came back in every game. LeBron, navigating his team through a bubble. I think we should cherish those memories and all of the games without fans. Like, take that in, because what we have is precious. Life is precious. It's not always going to be here, and you have to enjoy what you can, at this time, because no one knows what the future holds. It's a big question mark, and so hold your loved ones and enjoy what you can and what you have right now.
Yeah, well said. So, that's going to be the last time. Look, 2021 is right around the corner. Obviously, in a couple of days, we'll be into 2021. And obviously, 2020 has been a terrible year and for a lot of people. And it's been, like you said, it's been a year of loss. But I think it's, we've found a lot of silver linings. Like you said, I think that cherished a little bit more of hey, we're able to watch basketball right now. And cherish the time that we spent with our family and our loved ones. And I think that there has been a lot of silver linings in this crazy, crazy year of 2020. But none of this stops as soon as 2021 comes. We still are, in the middle of a pandemic. We still got things that we got to take care of. Personally, each individual has to take care of their things and their business, so that we can get back to a sense of normalcy whenever that is. And it's not going to be this weekend when this clock strikes midnight wherever you are. It's not going to go back to normal right then like Cinderella. It's going to be, we're still moving in this thing. But I do want to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who's listened to this, everyone who has supported me doing this show, everyone who supported me doing any other show, or supporting me doing broadcasting in general. I want to thank you. I really do want to, thank Mo for helping out on this. It was, one of those things where I sent him a text and didn't know what he was going to say. I didn't know if he was going to be like, yeah, why would I do that? But, thank you for hopping on and joining and doing this with me. And it's been a lot of fun and I enjoy it. And I think it's in a weird way brought me and you closer in the last couple of weeks and stuff. And it's been great. So I appreciate you for that as well, Mo. But this has been a great year in a lot of ways. It's been a terrible year in a lot of ways. But the next time we talk, it'll be 2021. So take that for what you will. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. And that's going to do it for us. And I guess I'm going to do the obligate, I'm going to do it. See you next year here on the Logan Ward Show as Mo's holding up his Chiefs gear. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Logan Ward Show. So thank y'all for stopping by and for heading out. For Mo, Aleem, and yours truly, this has been the Logan Ward Show on 12 Ounce Sports Network.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.